You can't control your thoughts. They flow into you in a very random, ethereal-like way. And this is a misconception people have. They think that they are creating their own thoughts, and they think that the thoughts that come to them are them. And if you were to make the mistake of confusing your thoughts as yourself, then you essentially become this confused human being going through life, not really having an identity, and just being slaved away by his own thoughts. So this is really interesting because the reason I'm bringing this idea up is because my whole life I've been into meditation, I've been into self-help, I've been into reading psychology books, things like this. And everyone talks about the idea of thinking about your thoughts, and your thoughts are not yourself, and all this stuff. So that's the first principle, which is like you're not the thought itself, right? I think a lot of people already know this, people who read typical self-help books. But I think there's one other step to it. It's not just that you're not the thought. It's not just that. But it's also that you are the responder of the thoughts. So how you react, how you respond based on said thought truly is who you are as a person. So for example, let's say I'm in the sauna, or let's say I'm in a hard workout, and I feel very hot, I feel pain, I feel difficulty. That feeling, that thought of, oh my God, it's so hot, I want to get out of here. That thought isn't me, it's not you. But you know what is me? The responder of the thought, which is, you could look at it as another voice. It's almost like the other voice, right? And the other voice is, I don't care if it is hot. I'm here because I decided to be here, and I'm going to fulfill my decision of staying here for 20 minutes. That's like the other voice, right? And then I guess there's two steps to it. It's like there's the thought, there's the responding voice, and then there's the action. I think out of everything, you are really the action more than anything. Because some people might have that second thought, which is, oh, I should stay here because of XYZ. But they actually never align with the thought, and they don't listen to that powerful thought. And then they just leave the sauna. There's a really dangerous thing about not listening to your own thought. That thought, the powerful one. Every time you denounce the powerful thought, you are essentially letting it become weaker and weaker and weaker. And you're letting that original weak thought, the defensive one, to become stronger and stronger. I'm breaking down essentially what it takes to make a strong mindset and how you make a strong mindset. It all comes down to that, dude. It's really that simple. So any situation you can think of, there's going to be a weak thought. There's going to be the thing that's trying to, quote unquote, protect you. You could also look at this as like the risk adverse thought, because that's typically what it is. It's the one with higher risk or higher perceived pain, at least short-term pain, is the first thought that would come to you. This is usually what happens. So when you're in the sauna or when you're in a workout, the closest perceived pain is the physical exertion that you are feeling in that moment. And that's why it's coming to in your head. And if you feel it, you feel this pull to like get out of the sauna, or get out of that hard workout, or stop running, stop pumping your legs. But then the second thought, the winning one, the winner voice, which here's what I think. I think you can become either one of these thoughts. And no one is like 100% on one side, because that would mean that you make zero mistakes, which doesn't make any sense, because the only way you can grow as a person is by making mistakes. So if you don't make mistakes, you can't grow. But anyways, the thought that you pick the most ends up becoming your closest identity. Now, like I said though, that still isn't you. You're still not that voice necessarily. You're the actions. You are the orchestration of the decisions you make. That's who you really are. Because everything else is hypothetical nonsense. So if you want to make change in your life, it comes down to these really strong principles. 1, understanding you are not your own thoughts. You are not. You need to accept this because a lot of people have ego attached to their own thinking, to their own brain, to their own thoughts. You need to accept this. You're not the thought itself. 2, understanding that typically when life presents you situations, your weak, defensive, risk-adverse voice, that first thought, comes to you in a very sharp manner. That one comes to you first typically. And it's very convincing. And the other thing is, if you're not good at having a strong mindset, you're going to confuse that a lot with being who you are. So you can't confuse that with that. That's the second principle. And then the third principle is there's always another voice. There's always another decision, which is the right decision. Right? And then here's the fourth principle, which is you're still not that decision. You're actually the one that, you are the action, the orchestration of the decision you make. So if you make the correct decision, which is the one that leads to more growth, and the one more aligned with your purpose, the one that you actually want to do, not the one that you feel like doing, then you grow and you become stronger and you become more aligned with that way of thinking. And over time, this is the best part, over time, that riskier, that more strong, that more confident, that more positive thinking, that starts to come to you more than the other thought. And I think that has to be the most positive part about this whole thing, which is over time, it doesn't become so difficult to maintain this good character. I actually really want to highlight this point. This is my final point of the video, but it's an extremely powerful point. Extremely powerful. Which is that if you continue making the right decisions, if you continue following this way of thinking, eventually that voice becomes louder by default, which means in the future, that becomes the first voice. So I'm in the sauna or I'm running, and it's not, oh, I want to get out of here. This sucks. No. The first voice that comes to me is, I'm grateful to be here. I'm happy. I'm growing. I know I can do even more than what I set out to accomplish. And let me enjoy this moment. Choose the powerful thought. Choose optimism. Because over time, that becomes the more default way of thinking, which leads to this positive spiral of growth. So remember, you are not your thoughts. You're the orchestration of your actions. Take the right action. Have a great day. Bye-bye.